up, we have Pivot Workshops, which is Lisa Z and Alice Shaw. I'm going to ask you guys to share your video, and I can unmute you, but I think you have to share your video. There you go. Perfect. So I'm so excited to have these ladies. They come to us with very extensive professional experience, but Pivot Workshops is a new offering. So it's been such an honor to work with them. I think their work is so important, but I want them to maybe explain it themselves. And I'm going to let them take it away because I think this is going to be a really powerful experience. So I'm going to hide my video. Do you guys want to say something just so I can make sure I can hear you?
Hi there.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys get started. I'm going to just hide my video.
All right. Hi, I'm Alice Shaw.
Hi, I'm Lisa Z.
And together we're Pivot Workshops.
Thanks for having us here today, Christine. And I want to thank everyone who's involved with this. That means Gabriella, Muddy, Megan, and Christine. We're really in deep appreciation because these are important times and you're bringing a lot of people together for the right reasons. Today, we're going to talk about the power of communication and how language impacts us. And we're not just talking about how we communicate. We're talking about visual cues, body language, and spoken communication.
Paying attention. So Lisa and I are both clairvoyants and we're both photographers. So we are seriously in the in the business of seeing. So we come up with topics that are usually in the present, something that we need to look at, and something that is in the collective. So we thought that communication would be something that was very in the now. So we're constantly ingesting and digesting information. This is what we call communication. Lisa doesn't listen to the news or watch the news, or you don't even watch television, right?
Not too often.
Yeah. And I stopped paying attention to the news at the beginning of the shelter in place. There's a lot of energy flying around, and when I stopped paying attention to the news, I kept it out of my space, and it's been really helpful. So Lisa and I pay attention to something that we call pings, and they're things that are highlighted informationally or visually to us in our waking day and sometimes in our dreams, right? And we pay close attention to these signs and signals that are put in front of us, that I guess I would call them highlights, things that just kind of stand out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I call them pebbles, just pebbles in the road that you follow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in speaking about those pebbles, the news is around us all the time. It's everywhere. I don't watch the news, as Alice said, not that I'm not concerned, but the news is all around us. And what led us to have a conversation about communication and how language impacts us is it's been a medley of little pings and pebbles. I recently moved out of San Francisco and I live across the bridge now. So I was entering the Golden Gate Bridge one day to visit a friend, and I was driving across and I felt something happening on the oncoming lane on the other side. There was a protest and I was like, wow, what's going on here? And I saw a flag I didn't recognize. And I saw, and on my peripheral vision, I saw families, and I felt a surge of this energy. But what I thought to myself is, stay in your lane, Lisa. Stay in your lane. Don't hit the car in front of you. And I made it across the bridge, and of course I'm quite interested in what's going on around me, and this was peripherally in my vision. So of course when I went home, I found out this issue was with Armenia. But was that in my lane, I asked myself. So on the return over the Golden Gate Bridge, I passed San Quentin Prison, and again there's a large protest going on, and this is directly in my lane, right in front of me. So I asked myself, what's going on here? And then immediately I went straight to asking myself, you've worked with the prison system before, Lisa. does this mean maybe perhaps you should be working with the prison system again? And I asked myself, and the answer was no. But this was right in front of me. This was in my lane. So what I thought to myself at this time is like, wow, Lise, you have tools. You've worked really hard to ask yourself these compelling questions. I'm not watching the news. I'm not following television, but here the news is impacting me and I'm feeling it. So what is everyone else out there doing? What are they doing? Are they taking responsibility? Do people feel that they have to jump out of their lane? Alice was dealing with the wildfires at this time. And I thought to myself, I could just keep driving over the bridge and I can go to Alice. I can go to Alice who's dealing with the wildfires. But I asked myself, would I be causing more harm? Would I be causing myself harm to myself? Or would I be adding to the disaster that's happening up there?
Getting in the way.
And getting in the way.
Mm.
So these are the things that we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, I'd like you to ask yourself some questions. So many people are overwhelmed right now. What would it feel like to stay in your own lane? Really, truly ask yourself. How do you perceive communication, both spoken, written, and visual? How do you personally communicate your thoughts and ideas into the world? And most importantly, how do you communicate with yourself? These are some of the things we're looking at. Are you picking up on mass emotions? Is the information coming through a filter that isn't even yours? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever wonder where those emotions come from? How do you handle them?
That's a lot to ask yourself, right?
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. But I think it's really important to pay attention to the small things too.
Mhm.
There's the news, which is the big
Mhm.
in the world and everything, and can be overwhelming, but also pay attention to small things and be very specific in how we use language. So Lisa and I, sometimes when we're doing clairvoyant readings with a client, we have to kind of reshape language to
Mhm.
get our point across. So I'm going to tell you a story about a woman I was doing a reading on whose husband had passed away after about 60 years of marriage. And she was left feeling very kind of empty, or feeling like, you can feel like your right hand is missing or something like that if you're right-handed. Anyway, I was trying to think of a word to describe the place that she was sitting in. And I paused and she interjected and she said, I'm undeveloped. And I had to correct her because it wasn't the word I was looking for. And I said, you are unexperienced. And unexperienced isn't even a word.
Right. I did the same thing.
Inexperienced is the correct word, but unexperienced was a word I created that explained what I was trying to get to closer. And so sometimes we have to search for the right word. Sometimes we're using the wrong word in the wrong place.
Yeah, well, we're changing a system of belief. It's dogma. We're changing language. Who does that?
Mhm.
Because we are.
Yeah. And something else I was thinking about recently when we were creating this content was a couple of years back, I was teaching a photography class and we watched a documentary photography on a photographer who would go, he lived in the South and he would go into very poor neighborhoods in the South and photograph. And in the documentary, he was being interviewed and he had no accent at all. And then he would go into they would film him in these poor neighborhoods photographing, and he had a really thick Southern accent. And it made my students really uncomfortable. They're like, why is he doing that? Because it felt like he was like a shapeshifter. He was
Mhm.
being two different people, and that's something that we've been thinking about a lot. Is do you use the same language when you're around different people or different groups of people?
I'm guilty. I'm
Yeah.
totally guilty. I'm totally guilty of that. And I ask myself why I show up that way. Why do I show up that way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally guilty.
Mm-hmm. And on a larger scale, do you feel the need to alter the way you speak in, you know, in different places? So yeah,
It's interesting.
Mhm.
I'm still working on that.
yeah, we can do that within family. We can
Right.
do that.
How do you show up at work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How do you show up for your the parents at the schools?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. It's a really, it's a great place to start, just how you show up.
Mm-hmm. And it would be nice to just be one person, right?
Right. That's a work in progress.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we
Yeah.
aim to be. Yeah.
I think it's really wrapped up a lot in fear of judgment or not fitting in, or perhaps feeling superior, which or wanting to invalidate someone. But there's a lot there. And we're
Or
all,
be cool.
yeah, or be cool.
Mhm.
Or be cool.
Right.
So it's a lot of checking in with yourself. So, in discussing checking in with yourself, I just recently went on a trip to Los Angeles. I went to visit many of my reading clients, and it was a real great treat because most of these people I only see, on video conference or by phone. So I was visiting with a client in Topanga, and she's an amazing woman. She's a documentary screenwriter, filmmaker. And, I don't really know the practicalities of these folks' day-to-day lives. So I spent a lot of time just trying to get to know people, not just their essence. I really know them, actually. I know their essence, but I don't know their day-to-day life. So she was telling me about projects that she had been working on. And one of her past projects was pretty heavy hitting. It's about child sex trafficking. And I asked her, how do you handle that? And she said, actually, I didn't, and I got myself physically ill. And I said, well, how do you continue doing this heavy hitting work? Because right now she's working on a project of equal severity. She said, I have tools now. I didn't really ask her about her tools, but what really stuck out to me is the checklist that she has to ask herself before she gives herself a green light on a project. It's not perfectly quoted, so pardon me, but it's in the like. She said, I first ask myself, can I handle doing this project? And if she says yes to herself, she moves on to the next question. And she says, can the interviewees handle this? If she says yes, the green light to go to the next question is there. And then she says, is this a project that the world needs to hear? And if she says yes, then the project will go. And, I just thought, wow, this is incredible. This woman has found a way to really check in with herself, stay in her lane and be productive, and in protecting herself first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great story. And she's figured out how to communicate with herself, with others, and the world in a really productive but protective way.
Correct.
Yeah. And she's asking herself this set of questions, I think is
right.
Very conscious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite simple, to be honest with you, but so many of us just don't check in with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And many of us don't stay in our own lanes. That's her lane.
Mm-hmm.
That's her lane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's figured out the tools.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in keeping in your lane, I have another small little story about my trip to Los Angeles, which was amazing. I mean, it's amazing just what you gather every day. Like Alice and I say, our work is done just in living life. I was taking a walk to the beach with the host, the person I was staying with, and we were walking down the street. And he said, you see that bush over there? I said, yeah. He goes, I'm the crazy guy that comes out here with my pruners and trims the bushes. And I said, that's not crazy. He goes, I just feel like I need to do that. And I said, then do that. And he said, and you know what I really like? He's like, I see this other man, another neighbor, and he's constantly picking up the trash around the same area. And I said, well, he's doing what feels right to him. And I said, if everyone just did what felt right to them, it's a symphony. We're all staying in our own lanes, doing what we feel we need to do, and everything will be as it should. And that's, I mean, truly where we're at right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, but how do we stay in that lane?
Mhm.
I work hard to stay in my lane.
Mhm.
Sometimes I divert.
Mhm. Yeah, but I think this time that we're in that's so unprecedented is kind of making us do that,
Right.
making us stay close to home and really pay attention to the things that are super important to us,
That's right.
because we can spread ourselves thin running all over the place and
Trying to save this or do that,
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
or take responsibility for too many things, or
Yeah, and then also I think I hear people saying this all the time. I feel like I should do this, or I really should do this, and instead of what they want to do, the things that they should do.
that's right.
It's getting closer to what you really want to do and who you are.
Correct.
Mhm.
So
Do you want to tell them about our?
sure. So Alice and I have created a workshop, and within that workshop, there's four 2-hour courses, and it's on the same topic: the power of communication, how language impacts us. So by the end of week number 4, I'm going to read this. By the end of week number 4, you will have a better handle on how staying in your own lane is a contribution to the collective good of society. You'll learn to be more observant of your place in the world and have original tools, and we mean original, specific to each one of you, to assist you in communicating with yourself and those around you based on your internal compass. If you're interested in joining, apparently you just have to click on our bio that Christine provides. It was a pleasure being here, and hopefully you could stay in your own lane too.